want to draw your attention to a couple of words this morning, let you see a couple of words. They'll form kind of the foundation of the passage and what we're going to talk about this morning. So the first word is no. The second word is no. Now, as you can tell, the second word no contains the first word no. So you can't really spell the second word no without the first word no. So we could say it this way. If there's no, no, then there's no, no. But if no is in its place, then no can take place. So this isn't just a spelling lesson or a grammar lesson. This actually has a spiritual application that I want to look at this morning. We're going to be in Psalm chapter 46. Psalm 46. And in this passage, we see this concept, the way these two words interconnect and they link together. And so let's look at that this morning. We're going to start in verse 1. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam and the mountains quake with their surging. What is this saying? It's saying, regardless of what happens in life, regardless of my circumstance, my situation, regardless of how dire things look, regardless of what's going on, I will not fear. Why? Because God's my help and my strength and my fortress. Verse 7, the Lord Almighty is with us, and the God of Jacob is our fortress. Verse 10, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations, and I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. This morning, I want to camp out on one statement, one phrase, part of one verse, because I think everything else in the psalm kind of funnels down into that one statement. And it's the very first statement in verse 10. Be still and know that I am God. That's where I want us to sit for a moment. Just be still and know that I am God. What we're going to see is this connection of these two words. How the first word know interlinks with this second concept, know. Now this statement it really contains three concepts. It's built on three concepts, but then they all connect together to give us one central truth. So I want to look at those three concepts for a moment, and we're going to start from the back and work forward. So the first concept is this: I am God. God is saying, I am God. And this is a statement by God himself testifying to who he is. He is saying, I am God. Now this statement, it's all-encompassing. If I were to say, I am Darrell, I am Darrell. What you're thinking of now is all this stuff about Darrell, what I look like, how I act, how I behave, the way I talk, the way I look, maybe my family members, my wife, all these other aspects. When I say, hey, I'm Darrell, all this kind of all-encompassing concept comes to let you identify, okay, who is Darrell? That's what God is saying here. He's saying, I am God. Now, without detailing every aspect of his godness, simply by stating, I am God, he is detailing all of his godness. So when he says, I am God, what he's saying is, I am all-knowing, I am all-powerful, I am the Almighty One, I am creator of all, I am sustainer of all, I am the giver of every good and perfect gift, I am the true God, I am the living God, I am the everlasting King, I am the eternal one, with no beginning and no end. I am the self-existent one. I am the self-sustaining one. I am the one who deserves all the praise and all the glory. I am alone, God. There is no one higher. I am higher than all, greater than all, stronger than all, mightier than all. I'm the one who parted the waters for Moses. I'm the one who felled the wall of Jericho for Joshua. I'm the one who consumed that altar for Elijah. As verse 3 tells us, I'm the one that when I speak, the mountains tremble and the oceans roar. In verse 1, I'm the one who's an ever-present help. I'm the fortress. I am your stronghold. Verse 4 says, I am the Most High. So what God is saying even without saying all of that, that's exactly what he is saying when he says, I am God. And he's very intentional about that. He does not say, I was God. I might be God. I want to be God. Some people call me God. He says, no, I am God. And all of this stuff of who I am and what I can do, that's me. That's concept one. We see concept number two, back it off into the middle, and it's this concept, know. K-N-O-W. He says, know that I am God. The issue here really is that it's not enough that he is God. For it really to have an impact in your life, you must know that he is God. Now that word know in the Hebrew, it means to understand or to recognize. But really in the Hebrew language, this word is the most intimate word for relationship. It's the word used to talk about the most intimate relationship that you can have. So what he's saying here is, I want you to know me and understand me in the most intimate of ways. I want you to know who I am. I want you to know what I do. I want you to know what I'm like. I want you to understand what I'm capable of. He's really saying, I want you to experience me. I want you to experience my love, my grace, my power, my wisdom, my protection, my provision. I want you to experience me in all of my richness and all of my fullness. This backs us up now to the first concept, and this is really the key to everything else. This is the key for us being able to know that he is God, and it's the phrase, be still. He says, be still and know that I am God. Unfortunately, I have to go to the dermatologist regularly now. I've had some, because of a lot of sun and no sunscreen over the years, I've had some skin issues, so I've had some stuff cut off, frozen off, etc. So I go to the dermatologist often just to stay ahead of stuff now. Well, a few months ago, I kind of noticed something on my head, so I went to the dermatologist, and sure enough, it was right above my eye, just below my eyebrow, and sure enough, it was something that had to be taken care of. So she had to freeze it off. And some of you, if you've gone to the dermatologist, you know what I'm talking about. It's like this can. It's full of liquid nitrogen, and it's got like a trigger, like a gun. And it's got this. It looks like a straw. It's not a straw. It's kind of a little skinny pipe thing that they can isolate it. Anyway, so she's going to spray this stuff, and so I'm thinking I'm helping her, because I don't want all that liquid nitrogen in my eyeballs. So I just start squinting, and I'm just like this, squinting. And so she's trying to dig it out. And finally she says, Darrell, stop it. Don't do that. You're making it very hard on me. I can't get to that spot. Would you just relax? Don't do that. That concept is this word, be still. Don't do that. Or in one word, it's the word know. If I could define be still in one word, it would simply be know. Now, there are some more official definitions of this Hebrew word be still. One, it means literally to let go. Just to let go. Let go of what you're holding on to. The word picture is you're holding on to something really tight, and you've got it gripped. To be still simply means let it go. Now, spiritually speaking, what that may mean is there's some things you're holding on to. Maybe it's your past sin. Maybe it's past mistakes. Maybe it's bad decisions. Maybe it's past mistreatment. Maybe it's worry and fear from future things that might happen, but you're holding on to that stuff. To be still simply means let go of all that stuff. There's a second definition. It literally also means let hang or let drop. Now, if we keep with this hands illustration, there's a lot of really good word pictures that this word really means. You know, let's say you put your fist up. Okay, it's like you're gonna fight, and you're gonna do that because you're fixing to fight. Well, this is a word picture spiritually, that spiritually we can put our fists up and we're going to fight against God. We're going to resist him. We're not going to let him do what he wants to do in our life. So, man, we're fighting against everything he's wanting to do. This word be still means let him drop. Quit fighting me. Another word picture is stiff arm. It's using your arms and doing this. We all know what that means. Hey, don't come any closer. I've got my free space right here. Don't come into my space. You just stay right there. That's close enough. Spiritually, we do the same thing with God. God, you just stay right there. You're close enough. I don't want you in my business. I don't want you really talking to me about my life and my lifestyle and my decisions. You just stay. That's close enough. To be still means let it drop and quit holding God at bay. Another word picture is sometimes if something's about to hit us in the face, in the head, what do? We kind of do that, and we kind of block it. We think that's going to be a wall somehow that'll keep whatever's coming from hitting us. Sometimes we do the same thing with God. We build this wall around us, and we're not going to let Him do anything in us, because if He's going to come at us, no. What does be still mean? Let it drop. Let them hang. Sometimes we figuratively do this. We wring our hands. We all know what that means, don't we? Man, it's worry, anxiety, fear. Well, we're nervous about what's going on. Maybe spiritually that speaks the same way. We're just full of anxiety. We're full of fear. What He's saying is be still. Let those hands drop. There's no need to worry or to fear. Sometimes if you watch sports, you'll see the deal where people start bumping their chest. Football and basketball, they do that a lot. They make a great play. They do something, so they bump their chest. It's like, hey, look at me. Aren't I great? Look at that play. Man, I'm the man. I'm the woman. I'm great. Draw attention to me. Look what I'm doing. Sometimes we can do the same thing spiritually. Hey, God, look what I'm doing. Aren't I great? Aren't you blessed to have me? What He's saying is be still. Let all that stuff drop. What the word means is drop your hands, drop your defenses, drop your wall, stop fighting, stop resisting, stop striving. No. Maybe with your young child or a young grandchild, they're about to do something, pick up something, go somewhere that they're not supposed to, and they're not supposed to, but you don't really have enough time to kind of give this long exhortation of what they shouldn't be doing, so you just say, what do you say? No. That's all you have to say. No. That's this word, be still. All this kind of stuff we're doing, striving and fighting, God's just saying, no. There's a third definition to this word, though, and it means to abandon. To abandon. And the idea is that you abandon the notion that you're in control. Abandon the notion of trying to be in control. Abandon the notion that you can't even control anything that has to do with life. He's saying stop striving, stop manipulating, stop fretting, stop worrying, stop taking matters into your own hands. When we try to do this, when we try to hang on to all this stuff, what happens is it begins to create in us fear and anxiety and worry and stress and depression and all kinds of stuff. And so He's saying, don't do that. No. And if you'll say no to all of that stuff, all of that striving, all that fighting, all that resisting, all that working hard, if you'll say no to that, you will know that I am God. Here's a side note to this. Sometimes to be still, you actually have to be still. Physically, you have to be still so that you can spiritually be still. That involves that time alone with the Lord. That involves that time when you go in, just you and the Lord, where you'll have that devotion time, that time alone where you just spend with Him, where you come and you say, I'm letting go of all this. And your physical act of being still in the presence of the Lord is a spiritual act where you're saying, okay, God, I'm giving up control. I'm taking matters out of my hands. I'm giving them to you. I'm not fighting. I'm not resisting. And when you're still in those moments, those are the best times when we can actually spiritually be still. And those are times when we know that He is God, and we begin to experience all that He is and all that He does and all that He has. Which leads me to say here that if we will be still and know that He is God, we will experience specifically three aspects of our life. There are three dynamics in our life that we will experience if we will practice this practice of being still to know that He is God. And the first thing that you will experience is triumph. You will begin to experience victory after victory. You'll experience triumph in your life as you begin to be still. What that means is you're not resisting anymore. You're not fighting anymore. You're not taking things in your own control anymore. You're not in control anymore. You've given all that over to God. So now you're not dictating things. He is. And so now you're beginning to see all that God is and all that God does. And now you've opened yourself for God to be God in your life. And part of what you're going to begin to experience is victory after victory, triumph after triumph. You're going to begin to experience and realize that God can win every battle, that God can give you victory over your spiritual enemy, that God can indeed break every stronghold in your life, that God will and can and does give you the strength to withstand the temptations that you face every single day. He does have the power to repair what's been damaged, to restore all that's been broken. Do you remember a statement a few weeks ago when God's talking to Abraham and asked the question, is anything too hard for God? Is anything too hard for me? You'll begin to answer that question, no. Nothing's too hard for Him. You'll begin to experience Romans 8:31, if God is for me, then who can be against me? That word if means since. The better translation of that verse really is, since God is for me, it doesn't matter who's against me. That's what the verse is saying. And as you begin to let God, and you let God be God, and you know God, you're going to experience the triumph and the victory in your life. Second thing you'll experience is transformation. As you yield your life and you give up control and you let God be God in you, you'll begin to see this transformation take place in you. It'll transform your mind. You'll begin to know Him better. It'll transform your heart. You'll love Him more. It'll transform your will, where you're beginning to yield your life more and more to Him. It will transform your spirit, and it will allow your spirit to truly rest. And when that happens, anxiety begins to dissipate. Fear begins to subside. Doubt and worry begin to evaporate. The resistance that you've been putting up against God begins to erode. And you begin to know Him more and more. And as you know Him more and more, your life is transformed more and more. As you say no to your resistance and striving, you will truly know Him. And in those moments, you're going to be transformed. Now, another side note, that's not a quick fix. That's not an overnight event. It's not going to happen immediately. Just because you begin to be still before the Lord and give Him things in your life, that doesn't mean every issue in your life is going to be solved immediately. It doesn't mean that immediately it's going to remove all anxiety and all fear and all doubt and all worry. But it's a practice that if you will practice and make it a part of your life, you will see over time that you experience triumph over triumph over triumph. And as you're being transformed and more transformed and more transformed, you're going to begin to see all these things that have seemed so hard and struggle with all these issues. You're going to begin to see all these things. God just begins to work those things out. There's a transformation process that takes place where you begin to see that He does give you strength. He protects your heart and your mind and your spirit, and you're becoming more and more like Him. There's a third dynamic that you'll experience as you be still and know, and that is trust. You're going to see how your trust in Him is going to grow and strengthen and develop. You may remember that little train that keeps saying, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. Well, sometimes in our spiritual walk, a lot of times with God, we're saying, I think God can, I think God can, I think God can, I think God can, I think God can. But as you are still and you know Him and all of His fullness and riches, that's going to change to, I know He can, I know He can, I know He can, I know He can. Because He is, He is, He is, He does. And it's going to change this trust, and you're going to begin to realize that you really can trust that He is in control. You can trust that He knows what's best for you. You can trust that He's actively working on your behalf. You can trust that He has you and He has your situation and your circumstance. And you can trust to take the next step even though you don't know what the 10th step is going to look like, because you know He's got you. You don't have to see the entire picture. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to understand everything. You don't even have to like your present situation. But you can still trust God because you know Him. You know who He is. You know what He can do. You know that He's going to work for you. And so even in those hard days, your trust is still in Him. So you can be patient. You can have peace even in the midst of those times, because you know indeed God was going to be God in your life. Be still and know that I am God. So these two words really, they're inseparable. They're cyclical, if you will. When you will come to the place where you'll say, okay, no more fighting God, no more striving, no more taking control, no more in my hands, none of that. No more of that. You're going to begin to know God in ways that you've not known Him. As you begin to know Him more deeply, that's going to give you greater desire to say no to self. As you say no to self, you're going to know Him more. As you know Him more, you're going to say no to, and they just feed off of one another. So be still and know that I am God could simply say no. No. Let me leave you with one final point, one final note. Some commentators with this passage, some commentators say that this verse 10, be still and know that I am God, that God is not speaking to the Israelites here. Rather, He is speaking to the enemies of the Israelites. He's speaking to those who are warring against Israel, because if they're warring against Israel, they're warring against God. And so some commentators say what He's saying is He's speaking to those warring against Israel, saying, no, or you're going to know me and all of my power and all of my glory. So stop treating my people like this, or you're going to know what I'm about. Now, I think that's a very applicable interpretation. I think it's an appropriate interpretation, but I think it's bigger than that. I think God's saying this to both Israel and the enemies of Israel. It just has a different connotation. To the enemies of Israel, what God is saying is, stop it, don't do that, or you're going to know me. But to the Israelites, they're saying, hey, no, stop fighting me so that you can know me in all of my grace. And I think the same is true today in the New Testament application. I think He's saying the same thing to every one of us. It just has a different flavor. If you're here this morning, you've never given your life to Jesus Christ, you do not know Jesus Christ personally, what He's saying is, no, stop fighting me. Stop resisting me. Knock down the wall. If you'll be still, then you can know me. But if you keep fighting me, if you keep fighting, you're going to know me, because one day every knee will bow and every tongue will confess. But that's not the way you want to know me. So knock down the guard. He's saying the same thing to the believer, and that is, even in Christ, those times when we want to put up all the resistance and take matters into our own hands, He's saying, hey, stop doing that so that you can know who I am. So the invitation this morning is really the same with a different idea. Be still and know that I am God. Say no so that you can know. The best time to do that is now. Bow with me. We have this time of invitation, if you want to call it. an invitation. It's the Spirit's invitation to you. We have prayer partners in the front and the back. I'm available as we worship and sing. If you would like to pray with someone, if you'd like to talk to someone about anything that's going on, we invite you and encourage you to come to our prayer partners and let them pray with you. If you're here without Christ, you've never given your life to Christ, you may not even really know exactly what all that means. We invite you to come to one of our prayer partners and just say, I want to talk to somebody about what it means to follow Christ. If you're here and there's whatever's going on in your life, you know Christ, but there's just the Spirit's ministering to you, we invite you to come and pray. Most importantly, whatever the Spirit is saying to you this morning, I just pray that you would let everything drop, put it all down, abandon all that in control, and just let the Spirit of God speak to you and minister to you in these moments so that you can know Him. Father, we thank you for this moment. We thank you for your presence. We thank you for who you are and all that you do. Father, would you continue to make us a people that desire to know you in your fullness and in your richness. And Father, in these moments, would your Spirit take control and do whatever you want to do in each one of our hearts and lives. And it's in Jesus' name we pray.